All right, welcome, my friends, to this Ask the Expert show. I'm Damian Hall, right here on AM790 WNIS, and pleased once again to be with my friends and your friends from Eggleston, servicing all of us here in Hampton Roads in one way or another, and most of it in many ways. And I'm excited to have in the studio this hour a panel of guests to discuss the different ways Eggleston improves and involves all of us in our community. And today we're talking with Angelina DeBerry, the Director of Public Relations and Communications with Eggleston, and Angelina's brought in a bunch of guests for us today. I'm excited. Angelina, how are you? Welcome.
I'm wonderful, Damian. How are you today?
I'm doing splendid, and I'm excited to be here. And, every time we have an Eggleston show, it's fun because you guys have events going on and different ways that the public can get involved and different ways the public is involved that they might not be aware in one way or another with Eggleston and improving our community. So today, just like all the rest, let's get right into it and share the wonderful message with our WNIS listeners. So, Angelina, what are some of the things we're going to talk about today?
Well, we have a lot going on this spring and summer at Eggleston, and we're going to talk about today All Play and No Work, a community conversation with the Faith Inclusion Network. Our event for that is going to be next Friday, May 18th. We've got our summer camp coming up. We've got a community-supported agriculture garden that's happening right now in downtown Norfolk. We've got our OK 5K race event that's coming up on June 16th at Virginia Wesleyan University. So we are extremely excited about all the things that are happening. So if some of the other things come to mind, I'll make sure to get them in.
Awesome. So that's exciting. That's coming up very soon. And you've brought a guest into the show with us today.
I did. We have Karen Jackson with us from the Faith Inclusion Network. Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful.
Good.
We're glad to have you here today, Karen. And thanks. Karen, explain the organization that you're with here today, if somebody hasn't heard of it before.
Sure. Faith Inclusion Network is an organization that our biggest goal is to help faith communities be more inclusive of people with disabilities. So we go about that by connecting with faith communities, other organizations and disability providers like Eggleston in the community. We also connect with a lot of other community partners. This event that we're doing is a perfect example of that we are working with other organizations like Eggleston and NAMI of Virginia Beach to help put on this event and bring key people to talk about employment of persons with disabilities in this community conversation.
Now, what's NAMI?
Oh, I'm sorry. NAMI is the National Alliance for Mental Illness, and they have a Virginia Beach chapter that's very active, and they are also helping with this event on Friday.
Wonderful. I think this is going to be great. So what can we expect at the event?
Well, at the event, it's put together as a community conversation. So there will be tables with people to talk about various questions that concern people with disabilities and employment in particular, since that's the topic, and we'll then get a chance to move tables. So we're at one table with a table host who will lead the conversation. Then we move to another table and then move once again. And then at the end, everyone comes together to really share the most important ideas that came out of their conversations at the table. And then that's going to be followed by a networking luncheon.
Oh, that
to
sounds
continue
amazing.
the conversations.
Okay, so our Paul Atkinson is going to be there with you as well, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. We've asked him to just really introduce the topic at the beginning, so he'll be there to be part of the conversation. But of course, like I said, there's lots of different voices that are going to be represented, and I'm excited to bring this topic also to the attention of faith communities, who I really feel like congregations can really be supportive of people with disabilities in this area, and they might not even have an idea how. So I'm excited to bring some of those ideas to the table too.
That's going to be great.
Awesome, and that's coming up next Friday, May the 18th. So there's not a lot of time in between now and then. How are things going with that?
Everything's great. We
Awesome.
we have quite a few people registered already on Eventbrite. We have a link to that, and it's a free event. We just ask people to register so we have a good count on lunch, especially, on the coast. You want to make sure you know how much food you need. But
so what's the website again?
The Eventbrite link is all-play-no-work.eventbrite.com. You could also go, and there's a link to it on our Faith Inclusion Network website, which is faithinclusionnetwork.org. if that's easier. But if you look up Eventbrite, All Play and No Work, you should be able to find it as well. The website is faithinclusionnetwork.org.
faithinclusionnetwork.org, and they can link it over from there.
Yes.
Awesome. So exciting. So this is the first annual for this event, and so which is very exciting. And I know that you guys have big aspirations for the event and its impact on the community. Tell me about a little bit about what you're trying to share next Friday, May the 18th, at the event.
Well, I think one of the big reasons to have this conversation is to bring all the different people that we can to the table around this topic. Because I think there's not just a lot being done, but not a lot of understanding of what is being done, and those people don't often get to talk to each other. Also, there are a lot of families impacted by disability who may want information about how to seek employment, and there's a lot of different ways to go about that, and we wanted to just bring awareness and information. This next important thing, which I was alluding to earlier, is that faith communities can have an impact in supporting people with disabilities in this way by just providing their networking in a congregation. If you're looking for a place to work and you usually go about that by networking, a congregation provides just an all set kind of network set up. So you never know. They also can provide volunteer opportunities that can be stepping stones to employment.
Absolutely.
I know at my church, at Blessed Sacrament in Norfolk, they actually employ some people from Eggleston to come in and do some work. There's so many options, and what we're trying to do with our faith communities that have been engaged with us over the last, and we've really been working at this for 10 years now, the ones that are really engaged and looking for how can faith communities be supportive beyond Saturday or Sunday? What can they do to impact people's lives and be supportive and encouraging for families? And one way they can do that is by addressing one of the most important, biggest parts of a person's life is finding employment. So that's why that topic is really important, I think, to individuals with disabilities and their families, but also needs to be important to places like congregations who can really add a lot to people's lives if they just know how and what they might do.
Now, I have a question then.
Sure.
I think about all work and no play. How'd you actually come up with all play and no work?
Well, I just love words, and I love making up titles and different things. And so, of course, you think all work and no play is a common phrase. I think that there's a lot of people, unfortunately, who do not have employment. They're either not employed or very underemployed, and they have too much free time. So that sort of naturally came about, all play and no work. But
gotcha.
Just kind of a little fun with words.
I think that was interesting. That was very interesting.
Yeah. So again, people, mark your calendars. It's next Friday. And what time do the doors open? What time should somebody show up next Friday, and where should they show up if they want to share some of this information?
The event is at Enoch Baptist Church in Virginia Beach, and that we're going to open the doors at 9:30. People can get coffee, settle in. We'll have some resources there to take a look at, and then we'll start the actual presentations at 10 o'clock.
I like the idea of the movement from table to table. It kind of keeps it engaged. Nobody's sitting still just listening to a presentation. You actually get to move around a little bit and
this is one of those events that we really want everyone's voice. You're not coming just to sit and listen. You are actually coming to participate in a very real and important way. So anyone we can get to the table to have a voice, no matter if they are a person affected by disability, if they have a family member, if they work for a faith community or volunteers for a faith community and have no idea what we're talking about at all, they need to come too, because they need to learn some of this. And then, of course, there's a lot of different disability service providers that can come. Of course, I just talked recently to someone involved in Project Search. These kind of people who are helping to find employment for people with disabilities, I feel like we really need to bring them together. So,
would it also be helpful for people who have businesses that can employ individuals with disabilities to come in? Okay.
If they've never thought, if you have a business and you never thought about the idea of employing a person with disability and don't know how to go about it, this would be a great place to meet some people and find out what to do. What are the steps to take? And I think what usually happens when people think about this and engage in a conversation is that they realize it's not as hard as they think it's going to be, and that they're also gaining some really awesome employees. We're hopeful, Faith Inclusion Network is hopeful, that this is just one more chance to help share the importance of this topic of employment, but also bring people together, because that's one of the things we do. And I think one of the things we do the best is bring people together.
Oh, great. So how did the Faith Inclusion Network get started?
Good question. Well, about 10 years ago, my daughter, I have 3 children. Our middle daughter, Samantha, is 20 now. So she was about 9, actually. And, we're really trying to figure out how to make going to church work for us, which was not currently working because she has autism, and she has a lot of behaviors that are very typical of autism, including running all over the place, making lots of loud noises and so forth. And that's not really conducive to your typical worship experience. Everyone kind of would look and say, what in the world is going on? And so it made really, for our family, going to church almost impossible as going together. So I got involved in a new faith community, and they said, we don't know what to do, but we're going to figure it out with you. And that was sort of the beginning of the journey. Now, push forward just a year past that, and I realized that, hey, we're not the only family having this experience. And so I started to gather different people together. Our first meeting was in 2008, and that ended up being the first meeting of Faith Inclusion Network.
Wow.
And we started with 2009, we started with our first Faith and Disability Conference called That All May Worship. And we just sort of took off from there. So now we've divided the year up. Every year we have a big event, a conference, or a big awareness event. And when we do these smaller events, the community conversations, the workshops, things like that.
That's great.
And then there's going to be an event coming up next Friday, so mark your calendars and make sure you get there. Make sure you register in advance, too, because, Karen, although we're going to a quick break, you mentioned that there's some food. Are you guys feeding people next Friday?
We absolutely are feeding people, yes. We believe in everyone eating whenever they come to see us. So we'll have just a simple luncheon, but we do need to have a number on that so we can accommodate everyone.
Great. And the website that'll link you there is faithinclusionnetwork.com, right?
.org.
faithinclusionnetwork.org. And we're here with Eggleston this hour on this Ask the Expert show. And real quick break, and we'll be right back with more right here on AM790 WNIS. Now, in the meantime, go to the website, faithinclusionnetwork.org, and sign up for next Friday's event. We'll continue the discussion.
The 10th annual Eggleston OK 5K and 1 Mile Run Walk will be held on Saturday, June 16th at Virginia Wesleyan University. The 1 Mile Walk kicks off at 8 a.m. and the 5K begins at 8:45. So register today for Eggleston's 10th annual OK 5K and 1 Mile Run Walk. Come on out to Virginia Wesleyan for this exciting event benefiting a great cause. The OK 5K race is presented by ManCon and is open to people of all abilities and is mobility friendly. Visit egglestonservices.org for more information and to register today. See you on the course.
Welcome back, my friends. It's AM790 WNIS. Here on this Ask the Expert show, I'm Damian Hall with your friends from Eggleston. The website, egglestonservices.org. You can go to the website and find out about all the things Eggleston's doing right here in your community and how you can get involved. And joining us this hour, Angelina DeBerry, the Director of Public Relations and Communications with Eggleston, and as well as a panel of guests throughout this hour. So stick around. It's going to be a lot of fun. Angelina, so glad to have you back here.
Oh, it's great to be here, Damien.
Always fun, and we're talking about a very special event, All Play and No Work. That is a slogan that I can really get behind on that one.
Absolutely.
And we're so glad to have you here, Miss Karen Jackson, with the event. So very special. And we were talking about telling everybody to go to the website, faithinclusionnetwork.org, and sign up for next Friday's event, Friday, May the 18th. And the event, if somebody's just joining us, how would you tell somebody in a matter of a few sentences what's really going on at the event? Because it's a really big event.
Well, what we're doing is bringing a lot of different voices to the table on the discussion about the employment of people with disabilities. So we are having hopefully a brainstorming type discussion to bring new ideas to the table, as well as learn more about what is actually happening with Eggleston Services and other organizations around the Hampton Roads area on employment for people with disabilities.
So on the topic of employment for people with disabilities, what do you find is one of the big hurdles here in Hampton Roads, or one of the misconceptions that you're commonly faced with either from employers or people across town when it comes to getting employment for people with disabilities?
I think there's quite a few questions in there. I think the biggest hurdle for one of the biggest hurdles for people who have disabilities or are affected by disability is just finding opportunities where they can succeed at whatever they're good at. And I think Eggleston Services, as well as other organizations, that's probably one of their biggest goals, is to try to fit people with the right place to work.
Absolutely.
I think that there are lots of opportunities that could be available, but people just don't realize the need. And there is a really big need. I'm sure there are more people out there without opportunities to work than there are jobs right now. So any businesses, organizations, faith communities that can be involved, I think the more the better.
And that was a great thing when we were talking about earlier, just the opportunity for business owners to come to this event on May 18th, that you may be able to employ people with disabilities. And while Eggleston does a great job throughout our community in creating employment opportunities, we also still need to continue to expand the community, because there may be certain things that we are not offering that business owners and local community leaders would be able to do and provide some supports that are available for those individuals that we can't support. So I think it's a great chance for everyone to come together and be able to have that conversation in an open setting with varied faiths as well. So.
Right. And I also think that there are probably businesses out there that could consider hiring people who have various kinds of skill levels, various kinds of disabilities. They don't realize that there are people out there to do these jobs, and they need someone to connect with, whether it be Eggleston or whoever. They need to connect with someone to find out where to talk to these people and find out what they could offer.
Yes. One of those things that we need to make sure that we address is that we currently employ less than 10% of the population of people with disabilities in Hampton Roads. So it is significant to have us come out and take care of that.
So this is going to be a truly opportunity creating event for people with disabilities and a brainstorming of the community, and you're invited, the listener, right now, next Friday. It's Friday, May the 18th. And the location again, you said the Enoch Baptist Church? Enoch Baptist Church in Virginia Beach. Okay, and for registration, so you can register, because you guys are planning on having a little meal for everybody, and to get that discussion going with a full belly and a full brain full of ideas, right?
Well, we'll actually start with the discussion.
Good.
We'll have some coffee and pastries, and then at the end of the discussion, we're going to have a luncheon that people can really continue their own conversations. Maybe they met someone they'd like to talk to more. They might want to connect with someone they haven't seen for a while. So we like to do these events and let people linger as they can.
So everybody's invited. Mark your calendars. That's next Friday. And again, the website. You can click on the links from the website, faithinclusionnetwork.org. That's faithinclusionnetwork.org. And we're right here this hour with Eggleston on this Ask the Expert show. So as we're rounding into our Fox News break here at the bottom of the hour, and we'll be here till the end of the hour with Eggleston, we're into the last 2 minutes or so on this half. What are some of your parting words about the event coming up next Friday? That's with Faith Inclusion Networks. It's the All Play, No Work event. What are some of your parting words for our listeners that might just be joining the show?
Well, we're really hopeful that some people, we have wonderful connections with lots of different faith communities and partners in the community, but we're really hoping to reach out to some new people who can bring their own expertise, bring their own thoughts and ideas. So this is a great opportunity, a very relaxed atmosphere to come in and learn about what we're doing, find out and connect with Faith Inclusion Network too, and hopefully we'll make some new connections and new friends.
And that's next Friday. Again, mark your calendars, May the 18th. be there. That's Friday. What time do the doors open? What time should you show up?
9:30 a.m.
Okay.
And the presentation will start at 10.
And you mentioned a little earlier, Eggleston's very own Mr. Paul Atkinson will be there as well.
That's right. He has graciously offered to kind of start the presentation with an introduction to the topic. So we'll start with him, and then we'll break into our discussions.
Great. And it's all about employment for people with disabilities here in Hampton Roads.
That's right.
Great. And leading the way, our friends here with Eggleston, and we'll be back right after the real quick break with more from Eggleston. I think we're going to talk about the OK 5K, which is always a lot of fun. It's that time of the season, my friends. Go to the website, egglestonservices.org. Find out what you need to know at egglestonservices.org. And stay tuned for more here on Ask the Expert at AM790 WNIS with more from Eggleston.